After lunch here, I want to do a quick icebreaker here and just kind of get a sense of where you're all at from a mental perspective, right? So what I'm going to do is a little mental test here. So what I'd like to do is ask you just to stand up. If you can all just stand up for me. You don't need pens or papers or anything, just hands free here. I'm going to show you a couple of different arm movements, and I'm going to ask you just to copy me. So I'll demonstrate first. You can just watch, and then we'll do it together in a second. The first movement is with your right arm. And there are 6 movements involved. And it goes like this. You start with your arm down at your side. 6 movements goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Everybody do that with me? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Perfect. Next is with your left arm. Also 6 movements, a little bit different. I know safety is a big issue for you here, right? So as with this one, you need a little bit of space, right? So we don't want to have any safety issues here. And it goes just like this. Just watch me first. 6 movements. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Everybody do that with me? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Perfect. Let's do our right arms together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Left arms. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Perfect. What do you think the next step in the evolution is here? To do them together. Exactly. This is your mental test. I got to see how sharp you are right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my back to you, so I'm kind of like the aerobics instructor, and you can just do what I do, okay? So all together, we start with our arms down at our side, and we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Yeah? Everybody got it? I see you've all got your hands down here, yeah? I want to do that one more time because I want to watch you. I don't believe that you all got it. I want to watch you. And this time I'll give you a hint here. Focus on the left arm because the right one is just going up and down. Okay? So let's do this together. I'll slow it down a little bit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, you can take your seats. Take your seats. I think I've got all the information I need for this presentation. I will speak slowly from now on. No, it's a hard thing to do. It's a hard thing to do. And, you know, for me as a presenter, and I'll kind of tie this in a minute here, but for me, you know, getting that energy going after lunch, right, is really important. You know, it's an icebreaker, and we use icebreakers when we're giving a presentation. We do it at the start of a meeting. We do these all the time, right? And if you can understand why we do icebreakers, what is the science behind icebreakers, then you can be a better leader, better communicator, better collaborator, all these different things. So the reason why I like to do an icebreaker, it's all to do with brain science. Our brains have got 2 basic operational modes in a conscious state, right? When your eyes are open, you're either in the alpha state or the beta state. Now, the alpha state is kind of like cruise control. Your eyes are open, but you're not really present, right? You know, we've all been here. You know, you're at the end of a long day, you're at home, you're sitting on the couch, you're staring off into space, and people are like, hey, anybody home, right? You know, that's our alpha state, right? This is my depiction of the alpha state. You know, we all know Homer Simpson. Whether you watch a TV show or not, you know that Homer has a brain, but he doesn't usually use his brain. Whereas your beta state is when you're taking in information with all 5 senses. You're processing, you're learning, you're looking for applications, right? So as a presenter, I want you to be in the beta state, right? Because now you're listening, you're paying attention, you're thinking about how does this relate to me? How can I apply this to my world, right? But our brains go back and forth between these 2 states all day long based on stimulus. And if things aren't stimulating for us, we slide into that alpha state. It's kind of like cruise control. This is where we're recharging our batteries. It's energy conservation, right? So at the base of our brainstem, there's a piece called the reticular activation system. And it's basically a switch. Turns our brains on, turns our brains off based on stimulus. So by doing something just as simple as this little arm activity, kind of flips your brains into that alpha state. So now you are focused, you're engaged, you're listening. Now the challenge though is, if I don't maintain this engagement, you're going to slide over into that alpha state, right? So if you think about the application here, so anytime you go to communicate with somebody else, whether it's a one-on-one interaction, you're speaking to a larger audience, you're in a meeting, whatever it is, the first thing you want to do is to interrupt your communication partner. You need to snap them out of alpha into beta. Because if they're in alpha when you're talking to them, it's kind of like talking to the wall, right? It's going in one ear, it's going out the other. It's a useless conversation. However, sometimes they might be in beta, but they're not in the same beta as you. That is also a useless conversation. Tell me if any of you have ever experienced this. You've gone into somebody's office, right? They're staring at their computer screen, they're tapping away on the keys, they're reading their emails, whatever. You're back here, you're talking to them, and they're nodding their head, and they're saying, yep. But you know that they're not hearing anything you say, right? They're in beta, but it's a different beta than you are. That's a totally useless conversation as well. So to communicate effectively, if you want to be collaborating effectively, working well together as a team, you need to all be in that same beta state, right? Once you get there, now you got to be engaging. Just because I've grabbed your attention doesn't mean I will keep your attention, right? Research has shown us that the average person has about a 15-minute window. And if your brain is not being stimulated, you slide over into that little alpha state, mini vacation, right? We've all done it. You've gone into that meeting, that presentation, you've said to yourself, I'm going to be present. I'm going to participate. I'm going to be engaged. 15 minutes later, right, you're staring out the window. You're counting the ceiling tiles. You're reaching for your phone because you're no longer engaged, right? So, what are you doing to keep engagement? And I share this a lot with organizations from a safety perspective. Because if you think about this alpha beta thing, where the majority of our accidents happen is when people are in the alpha state. They're just their mind is not really focused and they're just stumbling around here. In beta, you are fully present, you're aware of everything that's going around you, and you can make sure that you're doing things effectively, safely. Now, once you get people in that engaged state, now you can communicate, and they're actually listening to you. They hear what you say, they're analyzing, looking at those applications. So for me as a speaker, coming into this after lunch slot, right? It's a tough slot. You got to start out with something that's going to get people standing up, moving around a little bit, engage those brains, right? For you, going into meetings, into presentations, you need to think, what are you doing as leaders, as communicators, so that you can really create an engaged environment so that collaboration can really happen effectively, teamwork happens effectively, and your work is done safely.